welcome to episode 7 of the Wide 80 podcast. Normally, I try to come equipped with a witty intro, but we're just going to get right to business today. I got short stuff golf, Colby in the building.
Yo, yo.
I got 2023 fantasy baseball champion Chandler in the
What's up, y'all?
building. He's got a new hat on, and that's his thinking cap. So we're going to be really talking some analytical sports stuff today. I don't even know if that's true. We're just going to talk a lot of stuff has been going down as far
It's a
as
lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
NFL free agency kicked off a few days ago.
With a bang.
So many people in so many different places. I think kind of unknowingly I have found kind of a team I'm rooting for that's not my hometown team, but a team that I just think absolutely killed it. And we'll get into that. But I want to get both of you, I want to get you guys' opinion. How do you guys feel about this NFL offseason thus far? We still have a whole draft to go to. Like, there's still so much happening. What are your guys' initial thoughts of the first, three, I guess this is the fourth day of the free agency?
First wave, you know?
So many running backs have new teams. Holy crap. Starters, man.
Like, I can't remember where so many, to Colby's point, starting running backs, it's like everyone's playing for a different team. We're going into a season where Derrick Henry has a new team, Austin Eckler has a new team, Joe Mixon, the bell cow, has a new team. It's been a lot. So
it's cool to see, though. Cool to see lots of movement, and it makes next year. I mean, who cares about the actual season, but fantasy season, makes next year fantasy season super interesting and up in the air. Love it.
Right.
Let's just take everybody off the team and just draft, dude. Let's just do that.
Every year,
like the Madden fantasy draft. Like, let's just all put all the players in the pool and let's draft. And that's the thing. The teams that have won less Super Bowls get to go first in that draft.
Yeah.
So, like, the newest is like Jacksonville, Houston. Like, they're first and second, right?
CJ Stroud.
I'm still picking CJ Stroud.
We got to throw it in there. Yeah, got to keep
all the players available. I'm picking CJ Stroud.
Make it happen, NFL.
Before we get super into it, I don't want to forget to plug the social medias. Follow us on TikTok while you can. Follow us on TikTok at the Wide 80 podcast. Look for the blue logo. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Wide 80 podcast. We're Wide 80 podcast everywhere. Make sure you're spelling out 80 like you see in the logo. But Spotify, the Apple Podcast app, YouTube, TikTok, those are the platforms we're on. And it's been fun. I want to calculate how many hours we've sat here and talked to each other now, because we're on the 7th. They're about an hour 20 to an hour 40-ish.
We can just round up to 14, right?
So, like, that's a lot of time we spend talking about stuff that we love. But it's been hectic these past few days. We've been blowing up the group chat. The group chat has never been. I apologize if I'm just breaking deal after deal like I'm Ian Rappaport. But while I'm working, I have the Twitter feeds or X feeds from Rappaport, Scheffler, all of them, and I'm kind of, as soon as I get the deals, I'm breaking them to the group chat. So
it would take another episode just to read all of that.
Yeah, just to go through it all.
Yeah,
so
it's a lot.
I think we'll kind of start with I think it's more efficient to kind of break it down position wise, right? So as far as the quarterback position, the number one deal that was made, Kirk Cousins, something none of us saw coming. I didn't see it coming. Nope. Y'all didn't see it coming. I thought he was a Minnesota Viking till death.
Didn't think the Falcons had the balls to do something like that.
And we'll get to the Falcons as a whole, right? But Kirk Cousins, giving it a grade school paper grade. Starting with you, Colby, how do you grade Kirk Cousins going to Atlanta?
For the Falcons, I would probably give it an A. because Kirk Cousins has proven that he can make stuff happen with his arm. And believe it or not, I think the Falcons offense is gonna benefit from that. I think there's a lot of playmakers on that team. Bijan Robinson, Drake London. I think both of those guys, and among others, are gonna definitely benefit from that. And I think he might have one of his best years. I mean, who's to say he's not? I mean, the fact that he's not going to have Justin Jefferson, that's kind of a downgrade to
But
Drake
he was
London.
balling last year when Jefferson was hurt.
Yeah,
he
so
was balling.
Drake London can get it done for sure. As long as I think
if he
can,
gets
as
an
long as he has
actual
somebody.
quarterback.
Yep.
If he gets an actual quarterback, I mean, Drake London had what, Marcus Mariota to Desmond Ridder to Tyler Heineke. Kirk Cousins might as well be Joe Montana compared to those dudes. Respectfully,
yeah.
Don't forget about Kyle Pitts now.
Falcons got an A on that for sure.
Yeah. Chandler, what do you think?
Yeah, I give Kirk's agent and the skill positions of the Falcons offense both grades A, maybe A pluses. I think huge upgrades, and I don't know how you finagle that. For the Falcons organization as a whole, I'm no GM. I'll give him a B in that instance. I think that's a lot of money for a guy his age, fresh coming off of an injury. I think Kirk can do it. There's no doubt in my mind. It's just a relatively large gamble for a 4-year commitment of that guy. I think it's a win all the way around. I mean, that's the biggest splash that we've seen in free agency thus far, especially from a dollar amount. I don't see him failing by any means. It's an upgrade. It's just a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, 100 million of the 180 is guaranteed, so he's getting 100 million no matter what. I'm kind of. Here's the thing, and we're gonna have a segment where we talk about just what teams are we kind of excited for next year. Then, we'll probably talk more about the Falcons there, but it's similar to how I feel about Russell Wilson to the Steelers. It's just so much better than what you had. And here's no doubt about it. Kirk Cousins is coming off of an Achilles tear, but it's not like he's Lamar Jackson. It's not like he's Justin Fields. There wasn't a lot of mobility there to begin with. So he goes to Atlanta. He's miles ahead of the quarterbacks that were there. And we can all agree, I just feel sorry for the years that Kyle Pitts has been on that team thus far, because he has not had a coach that has any idea what to do with him. Even Bijan Robinson, to a certain extent last year, was getting carries taken away from him.
They got him now, though. They got the coach now.
I think this is definitely from just an overall not caring about money, just putting the player in the lineup. This is an A. I don't think you could get much better. To your point, Kirk Cousins coming off an Achilles tear, guaranteed 100 million, 180 total is what he can make. That's a little steep for a guy late in his career coming off an injury, but you're kind of only paying for the first 2-3 years. Everything else, it's like, we'll eat that.
You're literally banking on it, right?
Yeah.
Like you're financially banking on him to perform extremely well for the first 2 years.
Yeah, and I don't think, to Kobe's point, I don't think he has any shortage of weapons. So I would say, just from a football standpoint, that's an A. That much money in any situation is going to be a B plus, given that's a boatload, right?
And the fans are stoked as well. That's been really cool to see. I mean, Kirk's obviously a loved guy, but the fan base is excited for his arrival as well. That's obviously a plus.
Statistically, was the best quarterback in the league prior to his injury. Like, he was number one. Fantasy in every aspect, he was number one. There's no one ahead of him.
And Kirk's just a likable guy.
Yeah.
I'm so glad he got that money.
He's Mormon.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. He seems Mormon. But I mentioned him. This is kind of I would imagine this is kind of the second high profile name. Russell Wilson to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I am going to start off. This is another A for me. And this might be high. I might be over dramatic, but you're getting him on the veteran minimum. I think he's making $1 million, something around that this year. He's on a 1-year, $1.2 million deal. The Broncos are paying like $38 million for this guy. Look, you have Kenny Pickett to Russell Wilson. Look at the stats. It's not even close. Russell Wilson is so much better right now than Kenny Pickett. And then you had I talked about it in a few podcasts ago, but there's weapons on that Pittsburgh team. They traded away Deontay Johnson, so now George Pickens is the guy in Pittsburgh. I think with the money you're paying him, and even if you still have a fragment of belief in Kenny Pickett, he can sit down for a little bit and, learn behind Russell Wilson. I hope it's not some type of quarterback competition. It should be Wilson's job. But just off of money alone, and Russell Wilson had a good year last year. 200 yards per game was low, so he was very conservative with the ball, but it's like 28 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Just super, super solid guy from a team playing on a team that was falling apart. So he actually has a good, well balanced system, with Mike Tomlin. That's an A for me. I don't want to sound like I love all these deals, but that's an A.
This is actually my favorite signing of all free agency trades that we've got to at this point, taking all bias out of it, because Houston Texans all the way. Let's go. But yeah, just looking strictly at what happened here. You hit the nail on the head, Brandon. I can't, reverberate that enough. They're paying 1.2 million out of 40 basically for this guy. Going from Sean Payton to Mike Tomlin, I think is also a huge upgrade. I'm excited to see the Steelers and Russell Wilson particularly. With the loss of Deontay Johnson, though, I don't be surprised if we see Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris on the field at the same time a little bit more often than we did last year.
I like it.
They're going to have to, because George Pickens can be that guy 100%, and Russell Wilson can get him that ball. But the reason DK was so successful in Seattle is because Tyler Lockett was on the other side of the field. So they've got to figure it out in order to give him those opportunities. But literally, hands down, this is my favorite free agency transaction that's happened this year.
I love it. What do you think, Colby?
Man, I'm gonna say A+ just to be different. Because I think Russell got such a shitty bargain with the coach and at the Broncos.
Yep.
I think that like he had it out for him the entire time. Sean Payton, right?
Yeah.
I just had that feeling that Sean Payton had it out for him from day one, and I felt like he made Russell Wilson's job harder. And it's just the way everything transpired. I felt like it was such just a bad situation to be in. And now that he is going, Broncos are paying for him still going to the Steelers, and he's getting a badass coach with Mike Tomlin, arguably one of the best out there.
Yep. Agreed.
And he's a player's coach too. So like, I'm excited to see how Tomlin and Russell work together. And I do think that the Steelers obviously get better. Two teams that are, instantly. Two teams, the Falcons and the Steelers, are getting a great improvement at quarterback with these signings. I'm excited for Russell Wilson, and I give him an A+.
I love it. Yeah, no, that's such a good signing, and kind of
something else to consider. Sorry to cut you off, Brandon. The defense with the Steelers is significantly better than what was for Denver last year as well, and that's got to bring a level of comfortability and confidence to him going to a new team. But yeah, take it away, man.
Agreed. Yeah, no, Pittsburgh will no matter who's on the field, it could be a bunch of flag football uncles on that defense. Mike Tomlin just knows how to get them playing. Very physical team, and of course you got TJ Watt, allegedly robbed for defensive player of the year this year. So he's coming back with a vengeance. I understand a player at the age of Wilson, it's hard to look into the future, but you got to at least be excited right now.
And I think there'll be a resurgence. I think there'll be a resurgence in Russell Wilson.
And it's like this resurgence is almost a weird word, because he played
well,
good last year.
Yeah. Like I feel like he should have played better.
Like he was very conservative with the ball, but then again, I don't think there was a ton of weapons on that Broncos team. I mean, Cortland Sutton, he's a touchdown threat, but yards are down. Jerry Jeudy's been a disappointment. Javonte Williams off of injury, wasn't himself. There wasn't a whole lot on that Broncos offense, but I think there's a lot to like for Pittsburgh, especially when you got a young guy like George Pickens, who we did the player comparison to him and DK, where he arguably had the better year. So I don't know. It's definitely something to look at. Going through some of the other notable quarterback transactions, Gardner Minshew is a Raider. He will compete with Aiden O'Connell, who was basically the quarterback last year for the Raiders, and also they could go in the draft if they wanted to. Sam Darnold to the Minnesota Vikings. Yo, we'll get to it in a second, but I have a take on Minnesota. I'm so confused, and we'll get to it. But anywho,
he's QB1 right now.
He's the QB1. It's not Nick Mullins. I don't think it is, but yep, Sam Darnold. He's still 26 still, so maybe, you know. Jacoby Brissett to New England again. That's where he started his career.
Yep.
Back in New England, assuming he's the best quarterback there. He's the best quarterback there. I'm not gonna say assuming. He's the best guy there. So and
they go to the draft.
They're expected to go to the draft too. So
yep.
The draft is so interesting this year, man.
Yep.
Drew Lock to the Giants. And the report literally just came out. Breaking news. Report literally just came out as we're pulling up and recording on this pod. Drew Lock will compete with Daniel Jones for the starting job. And I'm not out on Drew Lock. I know a lot of people are. I'm not done. I liked him out of college. I think he had some growing up to do, but I think him sitting behind Geno Smith in Seattle is worth talking to. You're sitting behind a pro who's sat his whole career and is now getting his opportunity. Maybe he learns from Geno a little bit. I don't know. And I feel like it's not the hardest thing in the world to beat Daniel Jones, respectfully. Jameis Winston to Cleveland. I don't really have nothing else to say besides that's funny. You know?
Yeah. Well, he'll be starting soon enough because again,
he's gonna play at some point.
Yeah, we had the Deshaun conversation a few pods ago. Don't leave out my guy Mayfield though. He got
the re-signing.
Yeah,
he I was kind of going.
He finally got the respect that some of us think that he deserves, and I mean, definitely the respect based on last season and the year before with the Rams. Doing what he did there. But 3 years, 100 mil, man. Good for him.
I realized when we did the pod of the receivers and we talked about Mike Evans, when I made my take, I said, Mike Evans should want to stay in Tampa Bay with Baker Mayfield. I completely forgot that Baker Mayfield was a free agent.
Yep.
And so I just assumed in my heart that Baker Mayfield would be returning to Tampa Bay. And it all worked out that way. And yeah, it's good to see It's good to see that happen. Out of any of other quarterbacks or any quarterbacks that I named just now, anybody have any super hot takes, anything spicy, any thoughts to add before we look at some other positions?
Sam Howell with the Commanders basically took Drew Lock's spot.
Oh, yeah, that just happened.
I think that's pretty important because they're just showing their hand that they're going to take a quarterback in the draft with the second pick. Yeah, second pick.
The only quarterback move they made, they signed Marcus Mariota, which is...
but come on. He is the backup. He signed to be the backup.
Yeah, they're definitely going quarterback. Like a lot of what the Commanders have done.
They've done the most.
Dumped Zach Ertz.
They dumped
they've done the most.
Everybody. Now they got Austin Eckler.
Yep.
And then I guess that's where we'll transition to running backs. Austin Eckler with the Commanders. Again, when we were making our predictions, the Commanders were there.
Yeah.
It's just
they're there all the time.
They're always, they have the most money and the most draft capital. So it's like,
yeah, I want to say, if I'm not misquoting anybody, I want to say Chandler, you said Tony Pollard could go to the Commanders.
I might have actually think I had Tony Pollard to
someone said someone going to the Commanders.
I think that was me.
That might have been you going to the Commanders to join Brian Robinson, and Antonio Gibson is now with the Patriots.
Yep.
But we were so close on so many deals because we had the same idea, just different players. Like I said, the Bears are going to get a running back. I said the Bears are going to get Tony Pollard, and the Bears get DeAndre Swift. And I'm like, it's the same. It's the same, but just different.
Same but different, man.
So I guess we should just start off. Let's talk about it, guys. Saquon Barkley is.
You want me to cry this early? You want me to start crying this early?
Is a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. What are we thinking, Chandler? I know
I'll
trying to remove the bias from
we're
it.
Good. No worries. I think Philly looked at the tape last year and said, okay, what running back messed us up the most? And it was Saquon, and they said we need him on our team. I think that it was obviously 3 years, 37, almost 38 million is not the biggest check for a guy like Saquon for what he's capable of doing. You got to consider the injury history. And also he's going literally to a division rival. And I think that makes more of a statement and the amount of money that's being paid than actually him changing teams to begin with, or looking for a new contract, or entering free agency at all. That's what stands out to me. I expect this guy to absolutely run wild. I don't know how you prepare for this offense. I thought DeAndre Swift was an excellent upgrade and opportunity for them last year. He performed well enough, but golly, you got to freaking upgrade again from DeAndre Swift to Saquon as long as he stays healthy. It's going to be terrifying, and I'm excited to see it, man. Again, I'm excited for the fantasy season. That's really where my head's at, is like, because you're not drafting Saquon and Jalen.
Give me a grade on Saquon Barkley to the Eagles.
Oh, a grade. Man, just because of the FU to New York, I'll give him an A. And the value that they got for the guy.
And it's also worth noting he's from Philly.
For sure.
Yeah. Colby, what do you think about Saquon to the Eagles?
I give it an F because it was the biggest tease for the Texans.
He gave me "Don't be biased," intro, and here we go.
Being Colby's friends with all the Texans and stuff. I'm over here getting the seat warm and everything, and next thing you know, he signs with some green uniform wearing team, and it's not red, white, and blue. Dang it, no. I think it's going to be a scary offense with Saquon. With the way they run that, DeAndre Swift was a beast. Saquon is arguably better, way better, more talent. It is going to be interesting to see how they use him, and I think he's going to be a focal point. So, as far as the Eagles, I would probably give him an A. That's a great signing on their behalf.
So this is actually one that I'm lower than most. Here's why. And in confidence, I've talked to you guys about it. I haven't expressed it on the pod, maybe in little fragments in time, but the Eagles were the most confusing team to me last year, the second half.
Yep.
Again, Jalen Hurts was my fantasy quarterback, so I watched every single Eagles game. Something just did not make sense with that team. The offense was so in disarray. You kind of didn't know if they were going to throw it a billion times, run it a billion times from game to game. You just had no idea. A.J. Brown was upset at times. It was confusing. And then adding Saquon Barkley, I wish he would have gone to a team that had more offensive fluidity, a team that kind of has something established. I think the Eagles have a lot to figure out. And I think you're adding Saquon. Again, that's a good problem to have, is figuring out how you're going to use Saquon. When you get to the goal line, are you taking touches away from Saquon to do the tush push so Jalen Hurts can get a 1-yard touchdown run? Shout out fantasy. But I need to see how this offense is going to, because there's a lot of concerns in my opinion. I would have liked to see him go to a team that has something established offensively, a rhythm that he can just plug and play. I don't think he's a plug and play guy with Philly. So right now I'll go a C+ to a B, and then that's how I'm feeling about it. Not to, I'm from Houston. I think in Houston he would have been a more of a plug and play type of guy, where it's just, hey, just get in the backfield, let us give you the ball, let's stretch the field. I think there'll be a little more challenge in Philly. So I'm going to go C+ to a B. And
I like that you bring it up, the disarray of the offense the latter half of the season. I completely agree with you that he was a legitimate plug and play, like 100% fit with Houston. That would have, whatever. I'll get off my bias, soapbox. But at Philly, I mean, it is very interesting to see what direction they're going to go, because it's not like they had not taken any shots here, but a Devin Singletary in the backfield, where they weren't really sure what version of him they were going to get on a daily basis. Could they run their offense through him? DeAndre Swift did well enough. There's no
Pro Bowl. He was a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, there's no complaints from that guy's production from last year. Is Saquon enough of not only a step up, but a presence on the field to almost demand a certain level of fluidity in the offense? Because he did not get it in New York. I mean, they had consistency, but it wasn't fluid with the Giants
at all. I don't know what it is. The Giants are just allergic to signing offensive weapons. I don't know what it is. I'm sitting here.
New York is allergic to success.
Just take time to look at just the offensive weapons in New York for the Giants, and you're just like,
sad.
They won't sign a receiver. They won't They got Jalen Hyatt is their starting receiver next to 5'3" Wandale Robinson. It's like that's who you're going. And I know they have Darren Waller. He's hurt all the time. And then you're losing Saquon, bringing in Devin Singletary. To your point, not taking shots, but y'all want to win 4 games, maybe. You know, like,
yeah, they might
but
shoot
they
for 2.
did. They went crazy on their defense is going to be disgusting. They got Brian Burns from Carolina. They already have Thibodeau. They already have that defensive line. Good luck playing New York.
It wins you championships, but not regular season games. So how do you get to the championship?
That's absolutely a fair point. Yeah, a lot of running back moves. We talked about him. Josh Jacobs is a Green Bay Packer. Chandler, I know you're a Josh Jacobs guy.
Yeah, dude's a workhorse. That's another plug and play that I saw happening at Houston. But also, Houston has the offense to where, like, hey, we just need a consistent guy in the backfield, and we're good to go.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to Joe Mixon, I'm sure. But I love him going to Green Bay. I'm an Aaron Jones guy. I think he was an outstanding running back outside of his injury, plague, so to speak. If you're looking for somebody that's a little bit more stable, it's Josh Jacobs for sure. And I find it even more interesting that they re-signed AJ Dillon as well. So he's fine.
Did they re-sign AJ Dillon? Wow.
Yeah, I think I find it weird that he's well enough, sitting in that number 2 spot in the depth chart. But I like Josh Jacobs. I like what Green Bay is doing, the direction they're going. Y'all already know if you listen to a few podcasts back. I've got Green Bay and Houston in the Super Bowl, and this just moves it forward.
No, I like it. Colby, Josh Jacobs. Oh, Chandler, give it a grade.
Gosh, B. We'll get an easy B.
Easy B. Like it. Colby, Josh Jacobs to the Packers.
Give it a B plus, somewhere around there. Josh Jacobs is a workhorse. You're gonna make it better. Your offense better with that guy running the ball. I am curious what they do with AJ Dillon, because Josh Jacobs is gonna eat up touches. I think AJ Dillon is worth touches, so I don't think you block him out completely, because he is a good running back. I do think I don't know if they're the same.
Legs are like this
yeah,
big.
like
this. Yeah, real down year too.
So what are they going to do? They're going to put AJ in the goal line? No, you have to keep Jacobs in there because he can do it too.
Agreed.
So it's B plus B, because I'm not sure how they're going to work that running back room. But as far as getting a star, you nailed it with Josh Jacobs. He's an every down back. He can get it done. So yeah, you make it better in that aspect. But just figuring out what you're going to do with AJ Dillon is kind of where I'm at with that.
I don't know how I feel about this one. So my initial thought is you take who was there at running back, he's gone, and then you take Josh, and then you compare the two, right? How much better is Josh Jacobs than Aaron Jones? Yeah, there you go.
They're different running backs, in my opinion.
Like,
they are.
One is Aaron Jones is more of a
kind
of like he's just like a weapon, right? Like screen passes galore, makes you miss, has quality runs, right? And then Jacobs, more of the bell cow guy. So you're going from 2 different running back dynamics. It's going to be interesting, especially I would say where you might have the advantage with Josh Jacobs is I guess you don't have to worry about injury as much. But as someone who 2 years ago had Aaron Jones on my fantasy team, you're worrying about the injury every single week.
Mm-hmm.
He's bad hamstrings. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how he works. I give it a C plus to a B. It's just he had an amazing year 2 years ago. Jacobs did. Last year struggled. Was a season low, or I guess a career low in yards per carry. He had 3.5 yards per carry last year. That's
Dillon?
low. No,
Aaron Jones?
Josh Jacobs.
Oh, wow, really?
He had 3.5 yards per carry last year, which is super low, coming off of 5 yards a carry the year before. Mm-hmm. So he went from 2 years ago, 5 yards a carry, and that's when he was arguably the best, if not top 3 best running back in the NFL. Then last year goes into a little bit of injury slump, only played 13 games, 3.5 yards per carry. So that scares me going into Green Bay, but a whole new system. You want to talk about a system with some fluidity?
They got it.
That is one of them.
Yeah.
So I
And it
give
looks
it a
like the
C plus to a
decision.
B.
It looks like the decision was over money. Jones didn't want to take a pay cut.
Yeah,
Jacobs
they
was
wanted
willing
him
to.
to take like half of his salary
So
away, and he was like, "Nope, no, you're
1
good."
year, 7 million.
1 year, $7 million. Yeah, that was probably more than what they were trying to pay him in Green Bay. Which again really confuses me about Minnesota, and we'll get there. But
yeah.
we have to talk about. We'll kind of, so we don't get too lost in these. We'll go over the big one. Derrick Henry to Baltimore, something we all saw coming.
Yep. Thought it was too good to be true. Glad it happened.
And
I'm
if you look
excited.
at all the running back deals, Derrick Henry got a
Discount.
cheap deal.
Discount.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. But Chandler, tell me how you feel about Derrick Henry is now a Baltimore Raven, and it's good that we saw it coming because we got a lot wrong, but we get some things right. How do you feel?
A all the way. I think it's great for the offense. I think it's great for the team. I think it's great for Derrick Henry to go to a competitive team. They also got him on, like I said, on a discount, 2 years, 16 million. So I think it's wonderful. I'm excited for them to lose to the Texans in the conference championship game next year.
Dude, let's do it. Let's just make this a Texans pod, and then we'll ride off into the sunset. But if you look at the other deals, and I don't want to cut you off, but 2 years, 16 million, that's cheaper as far as just dollars wise, cheaper than Devin Singletary, cheaper than Tony Pollard, cheaper than DeAndre Swift, cheaper than Saquon, and cheaper than Josh Jacobs.
Yep.
That's
for Derrick freaking Henry.
For Derrick Henry. His average per year is obviously 8 million, which is tied with DeAndre Swift, lower than Saquon Barkley, lower than Josh Jacobs, and we're talking about Derrick Henry here.
On the Ravens.
On the Ravens. That's going to be absolutely fun. Colby, what do you think about Derrick Henry, a Baltimore Raven?
Man, it's a good sign for the Ravens for sure. You had Gus Edwards, and he was kind of that.
He's a Charger now.
Yeah,
touchdown machine.
they got rid of him, and then they signed Derrick Henry. So I see them using him the same way, obviously, because Gus Edwards was that in your mouth kind of guy. Derrick Henry is a little bit. I mean, he's better in my opinion.
Yeah.
So you're looking at some improvements there. So I know Derrick Henry is a big guy, and he's a generational freaking genetic beast. But I do want to see how he holds up as far as them using him as much as they're going to use him. Father Time is the winner of all of our battles.
Undefeated.
So I am interested to see how that plays out, but I do see that Derrick Henry is going to be a beast over in Baltimore. So I give him like a B, A minus, somewhere around there.
Yeah, and less is more with a guy like Derrick Henry, I think. Put him on a team where he doesn't need to be the offense. Like, that's still Lamar Jackson's team. Let's not get confused. So he goes there, takes some plays off. I think that's a headache, game planning for Baltimore.
Yeah, who do you plan for?
Like, okay, so you mean Lamar Jackson can outrun our entire defense, or Derrick Henry can give all my linebackers concussions? That's fantastic. And then Zay Flowers is going to be better. The receiving core is to be desired there, but hopefully you get Mark Andrews healthy again. That's a squad. They're a favorite, I think, out of the conference. One of the favorites. I'm not gonna say they are the favorite because you got Kansas City, but they're definitely going to be very good. Will win double-digit games. Will make noise in the playoffs, especially with that team. They got better. That's just the way it goes. So let's go talk about. I'm trying to go in order of importance here.
Sure.
Joe Mixon is a Houston Texan. Came out that Houston was in the negotiations with Saquon Barkley. Turns out they offered similar money, but the deciding factor was Saquon wanted to stay in that division, and he's from Philly or from Pennsylvania. And we were kind of wondering, as Houston fans, is kind of waiting for the ball to drop. We saw Devin Singletary go to the Giants, and we realized we have one running back on the Texans. What's going to happen? Since he was going to outright release Joe Mixon, and then Texans GM calls and say, hey, before you release him, let's work a trade. Let's work a trade. So, and that kind of takes, I think after they lost Saquon, they're like, okay, no one needs to be in this conversation. It needs to be just Houston and Cincinnati. Let's take everyone else out of it. Let's do the trade. Got him for a 7th round pick in this year's draft. Brought in Joe Mixon and extended him 3 years today. But Joe Mixon to the Texans, I'll start it off and say running backs getting 27, 28, 29, 30 years old. We all know the shelf life of running backs. It's not the best thing in the world, right? So I think what I wanted from Saquon, if he were to sign with Houston, was his receiving ability. Mm-hmm. Well, Joe Mixon, if you look at the numbers, has been one of the better receiving backs in the league. He was very involved in Cincy in that regard. I think he is a plug-and-play guy. I think he's going to be good. Is he going to break 90-yard runs down the field? No. Is he going to kill you with speed? Absolutely not. But a successful running back, a bell cow, if you're still trying to implement Dameon Pierce, who had such a great rookie season, not so much last year, maybe you can kind of have Mixon do less, similar to what I was saying with Henry. Have him do less. Instead of getting 30 carries a game, maybe he gets 18, and let's do it that way. I like it. That's a B+ for me. I like Mixon in Houston better than Saquon in Philly. That's how I feel. What do y'all think?
Colby, take it away, man.
I'll rate it a W because that's a win.
He's going off the grade scale.
I think that if you really think about it, I think it might be better than Saquon. We will be getting him for cheaper. Am I correct?
Yeah. Well, with the extension, I still think he comes out cheaper than Saquon.
Yeah.
Yep.
And obviously, Saquon is a more talented back. That's just hands down. But Joe Mixon has proven to be a producer, and what was the stat where it was 5 out of the last 6 years he went over 1,200 yards from scrimmage?
Yep.
Or something like that.
It was him, Tyreek Hill, and Christian McCaffrey, I believe.
Right.
Something crazy.
Yeah, small list.
That's 3 players.
I'm gonna pull it up.
Yeah, that's 3 players that's done that, and you're able to sign that guy. So that's a W in my opinion. Like you said, got him for cheaper. Yeah, you would have got Saquon, and it would have been all talent and all this, but Joe Mixon is a beast. Like people forget. I mean, I don't know if people forget, but Mixon ain't no punk, man. He's going to produce for us, especially with CJ.
Here's the stat that Colby's talking about. New Texans running back Joe Mixon has had 1,200 plus scrimmage yards in 5 of his last 6 seasons. Mixon is also one of 3 players to have 5 seasons with 1,200 plus scrimmage yards since 2018. The others, Alvin Kamara and Tyreek Hill.
There you go.
Producer.
Dude, he's a bell cow of bell cows.
Yep.
And I have like this weird logic. I don't know if there's any science to support this, but I truly think if you take a bell cow and you have him rest up, do less, I feel like he produces more explosive plays. That's what's in my head. I don't know if that's real, but that's how I'm seeing it. And I think
it's just a dynamic upgrade to Singletary. I'll give it an A. I think that they use him the exact same way that they used Singletary last year, except Joe Mixon is just better at all of that. And I'm excited to see it, but I think it's a win for Mixon on going to a competing team. I think it's a win for Houston getting their guy for the next few years. Just a win all the way around. So W for sure, but as far as a grade for the actual signing, A from me.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. And then we'll go down just kind of a flash run of the other running backs and see if you guys have any thoughts. DeAndre Swift to Chicago, Tony Pollard to Tennessee. We talked about Devin Singletary to the Giants, yep. Austin Eckler to Washington. Zach Moss will be the starter in Cincinnati. So that's cool. He had
He had a good year
surprising year with the Colts.
He had a good year.
And then Aaron Jones to Minnesota. Anybody have any thoughts on those signings before? I mean, we'll talk about receivers for about 2 seconds and then we'll move on.
Did we hit DeAndre Swift to the Bears? And last season, I felt like the Bears were just constantly wishing that they still had David Montgomery because he had such a good season.
Yes, I feel that too.
Is DeAndre Swift that guy? Is DeAndre Swift their replacement for them?
So here's the thing. DeAndre Swift is a guy every fantasy owner, every actual GM wants him on the team. But with Detroit, he was hurt all the time.
Yep.
He was hurt all the time. So he signs a prove it deal with Philly, plays pretty much all of the season, and makes the Pro Bowl last year.
Yep.
So I'm a huge DeAndre Swift fan. I thought he was, even in his Pro Bowl year with Philly, I thought he was misused. Why aren't you throwing this guy the ball?
Yeah.
That's what they did. That's what they did in Detroit. Like get him the ball in space. He makes people miss. Probably one of the shiftier running backs that there is in this league. I think Chicago's cooking up something. I really do. I think when they get DeAndre Swift, and the reports are so opposite every single day. Are they keeping Justin Fields? Are they trading him, taking Caleb Williams? But that offense can really tire you out. I mean, especially if you add DeAndre Swift to the mix. I think there's a lot to like there. But he got a pay day though. He's sitting at 3 years, $24 million, $8 million a year, which is the same money per year that Baltimore gave Derrick Henry, but one additional year, making $8 million. So
more security.
I mean, it's one of those things where 3-year deals with running backs who have injury issues scare me, but at the end of the day, you're Chicago. What do you have to lose?
Yeah, nothing. No, they're setting up great for their draft pick. I think that's a good point to make.
And I was sitting here earlier today trying to figure out what the hell is Chicago going to do, but I think I literally have no clue. So let's move on to wide receivers. Not a whole lot to talk about. The name that kind of exploded and kind of took over all of fantasy and free agent wide receivers, Calvin Ridley to the Tennessee Titans. I'm kind of curious to see Chandler's opinion of this because and I'm with you. No one really knew what the value for Calvin Ridley is. It was, did he prove enough in Jacksonville to where, he's warranted a huge contract? Does he get a 1-2 year deal somewhere? How are you feeling? 4 years, $92 million, $23 million per year. And the potential out that they have is 3 years, $69.7 million into the deal. That's their only potential out. How do you feel about that?
I think that he made bank. He's got to have the same agent that Kirk Cousins has, most likely. But I think it's a great move for Tennessee. I think it's a great move for him as well because they still have DeAndre Hopkins, and those two running down the field in tandem together is going to be difficult for defenses.
That's some route running.
Difficult for defenses to prepare for. Absolutely. And cover, because not many times you have two strong side corners. When I say strong side, like man coverage or shadowing corners on a team. You typically have one and then a guy that's like so. So I think he's gonna have a breakout year with them. It all depends on Will Levis slinging it. Levis. He's got to sling it, but he's got two great targets to sling it to. And he's really Calvin Ridley's got to prove it, right? He did it. Yep. He did 1 year in Jacksonville. I really expected Jacksonville just to keep him for another year to see if he could do it again. But Tennessee's his home now, at least for the next 3 years, like you were saying. But man, what a signing, what a contract, what an amount of money, and then what a pairing again with those two wide receivers in Tennessee. It'll be fun to watch.
I'm surprised you have such a positive take. Wait, I don't know why I thought you were going to be negative with that.
B- because of the amount of money.
That's a lot. Yeah. Colby, Calvin Ridley to Tennessee. What are you thinking?
Dude, the Titans have something cooking over there.
Yeah. It's
they
like it's like when
Yeah, we waved over Tony Pollard.
yeah.
yeah.
It's like one of those things where, like your kid plays T-ball and you're like, you hit a triple. Good
Yeah.
job. But then
Hell
it's like
yeah.
it's still T-ball, but at the end of the
Yeah.
day, they got something interesting on that squad.
They do, and I mean, Will Levis is their guy, correct?
Yep, he's the dude. I
Yeah.
like him.
Because they signed Mason Rudolph too, 1 year, 2.87.
Yep.
But Calvin Ridley, dude, 4 years, 92. That's crazy. With 50 million guaranteed, fully guaranteed. And they paid with 3 years, 24 million for Tony Pollard. I don't mean to make this about Tony Pollard, but you look at Tennessee, it's like, dude, that
They're
Tony
spending money.
Pollard and Calvin Ridley, those are two really big signings for them.
That's gonna be a fun 6-win
Yeah.
team. I'm
And you'll
telling
see,
you.
and you'll see that
6-win.
offense change too, because now what Will Levis can run the ball, right?
Yeah, he's got some
Okay.
legs.
And now we got Tony Pollard, who's speedy, catches out of the backfield where we were used to seeing Derrick Henry down your throat. And now we got Calvin Ridley and D-Hop, dude. We're looking at a pretty explosive
that team got
offense
some
here.
dogs on them.
They went from 1-dimensional to 4-dimensional. And figure it out, guys.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
go ahead. Sorry.
No, what do you got?
No, I was just gonna say I do think it may be a little expensive for Calvin Ridley that he's getting paid. Especially because he's been around for a while. Like Chandler said, you would have liked him see him produce more in Jacksonville, maybe. But Calvin Ridley is a proven dog, and I think he made out. That's an A+ for him. But I do think the Tennessee Titans did. I think their whole draft board is an A, but getting Calvin Ridley is probably A-, somewhere around there.
No, that's that is such. If you're going to go into a perceived rebuild, for one, I don't think it can be considered a rebuild if
I
you're
don't think this
spending
is a rebuild.
that much
Yeah.
money
I think
on
this is a
offensive
compete
players.
team. Yep.
But I could definitely see a scenario. This is wild card. This is a hot take. They could end up second in the division. Like, I think obviously Houston's the favorite.
Yeah.
But I could see them playing better than Jacksonville. I could see them playing better than the Colts. I really do. I can see them I can see them fighting for a wild card spot with that team, because they signed was it Awuzie, or they signed Cincinnati's corner.
Chidobe.
Yeah. They signed him from Cincinnati. Defense is always tough. Like, that defense is always, it can give you a hard noon on a Sunday. But the thing is, that offense, Tony Pollard, he's got to prove that he wasn't, a 1-year guy, And then Will Levis can sling it, arm strength for days. Then you got 2 fantastic route runners, Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins. I like it. Look, they could win. They could be the most fantastic 4-win team in the NFL, or, they can actually compete and, fight for a wild card spot. I like it. Other wide receiver. I mean, speaking of Jacksonville getting rid of or letting Calvin Ridley walk, really the only other big move, they signed Gabe Davis from Buffalo. And then Darnell Mooney goes to Atlanta.
I like that one.
We talk about that Atlanta team, right?
I like that one a lot.
Curtis Samuel goes from the Commanders to Buffalo to kind of be the Gabe Davis replacement.
Yep. Also downgrade.
Oh, I don't know. Gabe Davis is so weird. I don't know how to grade him. You could be right. I don't know. Like, Gabe Davis is like, he's either going to catch 3 passes for 120 yards and 3 touchdowns, or he's not going to get targeted in the game. You have no idea what's going to happen there. But I mean, kind of offensively, that's what I had down for free agents. Before we transition to other parts of this podcast, is there any teams that either of you are thinking that they are in perfect position to have a great year last year, or some teams that dropped the ball per se? And just because I've been itching to get this out, I'll go first.
Get it out, man.
I'm so all in on the Atlanta Falcons. I'm all in. I'm talking, let me bet on their Super Bowl. I'm all in, dude. Kirk Cousins, Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Darnell Mooney. They just traded for Rondell Moore from Arizona.
Yep.
Dude, if you know what you're doing, that team can give you a rough week every single week. I think that's a playoff team. Now, Kirk Cousins in the playoffs,
we'll see.
To be desired, right? Like it's kind of but that team's making the playoffs. They're winning the division. They're winning their division. That's happening, and they're going to the playoffs. And I have the team that I root for. Like as you know, personally, as a sports commentator, I love all the teams, right? But Atlanta, I'm all in. Also, another team I really like. I really like Philly's offseason. Okay. Outside of the Saquon signing, right? I like them bringing in Devontae Parker from New England. He's been super solid when he plays. So now Philly has added Saquon, and then they added, the receiving core is Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, and Devontae Parker. They also signed Bryce Huff defensively, who had 10 sacks for the Jets last year. So that defense gets a lot better. And I'm not going to end this without talking about the Houston Texans, baby. I'm not going to lie, boys. I was scared hitless when that first day went by and we had signed like a special teams corner and Lonnie Johnson, who we drafted and then cut. I was scared. But you're talking about the Texans adding Joe Mixon, adding Danico Autry, the sack leader from Tennessee, adding Al Shazier, who was the leading tackler from Tennessee, and then Danielle Hunter, baby.
Money, 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 money.
You're talking about a defensive line at any given snap can have Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, and Danico Autry coming at you at any given time. Good luck. Good luck. I think the secondary still needs a little bit of work, but Houston had a really good offseason. As far as teams that you guys think are primed to have a big improvement based off of this offseason, Chandler, who do you thinking?
Yeah, this is legitimately, this is bias outside of the question. I really think Houston did a great job. I think that they recognized that their offense was good enough last year. They made one key improvement in Joe Mixon, and then they focused almost 90% of their efforts on their defensive side of the ball, which I think is fantastic. Smart to do from an organizational standpoint, smart to do from a fan base standpoint. Just really excited to see what this team does next year. And how can you not be excited about the Atlanta Falcons? It's hard not to. And then after talking about the Titans, it's difficult not to be excited about them as well. Two big additions there. But I'm going to feed the masses here in what the hell are you, not doing in this scenario? Dallas Cowboys, man, wake up, make something happen, give your fans something to actually be excited for, because it's not happening right now. And I don't understand it. You're literally the most valued franchise in the NFL. You're telling me you can't spend on somebody other than Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. Give me a freaking break. Do something. But that's all I got, man. We got a few winners and one very obvious loser in the Cowboys.
Yeah, then who's going to be the running back for Dallas?
Deuce. Way to address that one.
Deuce Vaughn. All 4'8" of him.
Watch Deuce just ball out next year.
Has 2,000 yards. Dude, Colby, who do you like or dislike coming out of this wave of free agents?
So this team is actually going to be a real surprise, just because of how much they've actually been moving, and they've just been signing blockbuster deal after blockbuster deal. The Houston Texans.
I
was like, Colby's coming with a take.
You actually got me. I'm not even joking. I was like, is he gonna throw the Panthers out there? Like,
I'm sitting here doing the math. Like, who could he be talking
about?
Green
Bay. God dang it, Colby.
Yeah.
Man,
yeah.
I'm stealing so many of your draft picks next week. I'm just doing it.
Yeah, man,
like, yeah.
He's a Texas man. Joe Mixon, Dalton Schultz re-signed. That's 2 on the offense. We signed
Kaimi.
9. Yeah, Kaimi. We got Kaimi back.
Let's
3
go.
years, 15.9, man. Signed 9 defensive players. We're beefing up the defense. We're gonna smack everybody's mamas. The one I do see being a surprise. I like the Colts signing Joe Flacco. 1 year, 8.7. I think he's gonna be the guy over there, right?
Anthony Richardson. You forget
Anthony
that
Richardson,
almost every
but
week.
still, like Anthony Richardson's gonna go down.
No.
Yeah, he's gonna go down with a foot injury or something. Joe Flacco's going to go in there, and then Joe Flacco.
Flacco.
No, I don't think you can get a better backup in Joe Flacco. You know,
Yeah,
like that guy's
man.
a stud.
Flacco
If
did
there
really
was a
good.
backup quarterback award, like Flacco wins it last year, right?
Yeah, he can start
last
on
year.
32 teams. But
He
no,
could.
I think I like the Flacco signing, and that's just I like Joe Flacco, so I wanted to throw that out there. I like he's going to keep on playing. And then to Chandler, and pretty much I don't think you said anything about it, but Cowboys, what the hell y'all doing? And I think it's funny. I think it's funny that it's like the Texans are just like making all these moves, and then Dallas, like they just spell out disappointment every single year. And specifically now with no free agents that you're trying to go for, it's like, what are you guys doing? I mean, you guys are supposed to be the team in Texas, and it's looking like we're gonna take it over. You know what I'm saying? But
it really
Cowboys,
sucks. It really sucks that they have such a toxic fan base. Like I feel like if you're doing the most toxic fan base, I feel like it's Cowboys and maybe Eagles, like toxic fan bases, and they're in the same division, ironically. But
it's not ironic.
They want you want something to talk about, you know, as a fan, like, oh, my team's gonna do X, Y, and Z. More players are leaving than players that are coming in. I guess they're really gonna invest in the draft, but free agency's not over. There's still some dudes out there, I guess. But
they're about to
Diggs is a free agent still, right?
No, Diggs is still with Buffalo.
That was a trade target.
Trade target.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
Cowboys about to literally get ran over by Philly.
Yeah.
Literally.
I mean, they need to make something happen. They need a running back. I think it's Rico Dwaddle. I forget how to say his name, but he got the most touches behind Pollard last year. Then you got Deuce Vaughn. I don't know. Maybe it is Deuce Vaughn. All right, boys. Are you guys ready to transition to some drafting?
Are we drafting?
We drafting. We do it every single week. You guys have seen it. Y'all have seen the clips, the TikTok videos.
We're getting some
YouTube
engagement,
videos.
so I appreciate that, y'all.
Dude,
y'all keep it up.
I love it. I love it. We got today. Last week we did the best video games of all time draft. Today we are doing NFL best signings or trades of all time. So we're going back.
And signings not like draft picks, but more free agent signings.
Like free agents
like yeah.
or trades. So yeah, you could really just put any player. Like, hey, they signed him. They signed him. So you can't pick CJ Stroud, Chandler. Can't pick CJ Stroud.
God dang it, man.
They signed it.
No.
Hate these rules. This house is bullshit. This house is a prison. Okay, so let's get to it. NFL. I'm going first. So this is going to be fun. I wonder how I'm going to start it off. I didn't even think about that I'm going first.
Think about what everybody else has.
So we're going me, Colby Chandler, right?
That'll work.
Yep.
All right. So with my first pick of the draft, I'm going to take Drew Brees from the Chargers to the Saints. That's my first pick.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's a cute pick. It's an efficient pick. It's a pick that's gonna climb up the rankings with quarterback efficiency.
Maybe Colby, the best.
Colby, your second pick. What you got?
I'm gonna go with Kurt Warner in '98. He was with NFL Europe before he signed in '98, '99. Won a Super Bowl with the Rams.
There you go, Kurt Warner.
It was the what did they call him? Greatest show on turf.
Yep.
Not yet though.
Yep. So, Kurt Warner. That's my number one.
Kurt Warner. What you got, Chandler?
All right. This is a good one. I'll take the GOAT. I'll take Tom Brady first round, signing with Tampa Bay.
Yep.
Not first player, but first team to win a Super Bowl when they're hosting it. pretty outstanding. Never happened before. But yeah, give me the GOAT number one.
I love how
That's
you
easy.
give yourself some stats behind that. Like first Super Bowl ever that they hosted, no big deal.
Yeah, no, it was no big deal. Yeah,
No,
it looked like no big
planned it
deal.
out.
But yeah, that was absolutely insane.
Serpentine, who you got?
Come back around, give me another quarterback. Peyton Manning when he went to the Broncos in 2012.
Yep.
2012 comeback player of the year, 2013 NFL MVP and Super Bowl loser, 2015 Super Bowl champion. Great signing, and hats off to the general.
So you have Tom Brady and Peyton Manning on your team. No big deal.
No big deal.
NBD.
We're gonna compete.
Colby,
no, starting job.
Yeah, that's like 4 of them off my board. But anyways, I'm gonna go with Deion Sanders. He signed with the Niners in '94, won a Super Bowl with them. Signed with in '95 with the Cowboys. He won a Super Bowl with them. Damn, it was a big deal. Big deal. You know.
I always feel like I know everything, and then y'all start drafting. I'm like, I didn't even think of him, so that sucks. All right, so going back around, I'm gonna take Steve Young from the Bucks to the 49ers. That's a pick, right? And then I like this one just because it happened somewhat recently. Give me Matt Stafford from the Lions, where everyone felt bad for him. I know I did. When there's a good player on a bad team, you're just kind of like, man, I wish you went somewhere else. And he immediately did that and won the Super Bowl. So give me Matt Stafford from the Lions to the Rams. Colby, who you got?
I'll go with when the Jets signed Curtis Martin in '98.
Yeah, nice.
He was an immediate impact. 10 out of the 11 seasons, he went over 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns. When he was with the Jets, 7 out of the 8 years, he went over 1,000. So he was an immediate, just plug him in there. He's going to give you yardage and touchdowns. So Curtis Martin.
I love it.
I've only got 1 slash on me so far, guys. I'm dipping and diving and ducking, y'all. You know?
What you got?
Let's hit it. We'll get the hometown bias out the way. Arian Foster, undrafted free agent, led the NFL in rushing 2010 with 1,616 yards. It is unreal. He still has over 2 times more yards than the next leading rusher in franchise history.
He's all we got.
Bobby.
That's all I have to say about
it. It was
him.
so fun watching Arian run. He was such a good runner.
Most patient one-cut running back you've ever seen.
I like he changed.
And he was low-key big.
Yeah.
Aaron Foster, he was like 6'2", 230.
Yeah, he wasn't a small guy.
Big running back.
Yeah. It's not like us running out there. We don't need that happening.
Anybody remember what college he came out of?
Tennessee.
That one.
There you go. Good job.
That's what I said.
That's my brother.
And I'm gonna I guess coming back for my 4th pick, I'm gonna follow up Colby's Kurt Warner, and I'm going Marshall Faulk, 1999 St. Louis Rams. Year 2000 is when they became the greatest show on turf, and literally a year after he showed up, they won a Super Bowl. Just absolutely unreal. I think it took both of them. I'm not taking anything away from you, Colby, but you got to give that running back some love.
I respect it. Threw like 43 touchdowns that year.
Yeah, you know don't sleep on. Oh, they're beefing. We're beefing. Let's go. Fight them.
I was just asking what you knew.
Yeah, I don't know anything.
Yeah, me too.
All right, Colby, who you got?
I'm going with let's go with Chris Carter when he signed with the 90s Vikings. He was released from the Eagles for off-field issues. He signed with the Vikes and earned 8 consecutive Pro Bowls.
Damn.
Yep. And he helped them capture 4 division titles and 2 NFC title appearances.
Chris
Carter.
It. Yep. I like it.
Chris Carter, you bringing receivers into it.
One of the best receivers. Yep. So I guess I finish it out. Since I go back to back, I'll pick 4 and 5, and that'll be my team. Give me Reggie White from to the Packers.
That was huge.
They beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl the year after he signed, or the year he signed, one of the two. Love that one. And then I am going to end it with Joe Montana to the Chiefs.
Nice.
And that'll be my squad. Leaving 1 honorable mention, but that's fine.
I got 1 as well.
All right, Colby, finishing out your squad.
Oh, did I? I thought that was it. Never mind.
You got 1 more.
So we got. Let's go with Charles Woodson when he signed with the Packers.
I knew one of y'all would mention Charles Woodson.
Yep, Defensive Player of the Year in 2009, became Super Bowl champ in 2010. Just history speaks for itself, man. He was one of the best to ever do it.
This is true.
Yep.
Chan Man.
Yeah, rounding out number 5, best backup quarterback of all time, Nick Foles.
Damn it, Bobby. Yes,
to the
sir.
Eagles, right? Did
He
it,
won
Philly
it for 'em.
special, won the Super Bowl, all of that behind Carson Wentz. Like, I don't know how you prep for that. I don't know how you envision that, but the fact that it worked out is honorable to put him on 5th on my list.
Dude was eating Cheetos, you know.
Dude was eating
and
Cheetos.
he was just like, I'm just gonna win a Super Bowl real quick.
It was almost like if Joe Flacco won the Super Bowl last year, like
Yep.
just like off the couch, no big deal.
Yep.
We got
It
honorable
was against
mentions
the
because I got
Patriots,
one.
right?
Yeah,
That was against the Patriots too, right? Yeah.
Yep. I respect it. I respect it wholeheartedly. Honorable mention. I had Christian McCaffrey. I think
Nice.
it's worth noting his work that he's done, though it hasn't resulted in Super Bowl wins, but I feel like it's worth noting how good he is, and he's pretty much been the best running back in the league for a little bit now.
Yeah, no doubt.
What do you guys got?
I'm gonna say this because he was probably my favorite running back when I started like playing Madden and stuff like that.
Don't say it.
Warwick
Is
Dunn.
Is it a red team?
Yeah, don't say it.
Is it a Kansas City Chief?
No, okay, guess you can say it.
Priest Holmes in 2001.
Yeah,
nice.
He was an undrafted free agent, and he was the first. No, he was a backup for the Baltimore Ravens when they won the Super Bowl in 2000. Signed with the Chiefs in 2001, and he became the first undrafted player in the league to become a leading rusher with 1,555 yards on the Chiefs.
That's cool.
That's crazy.
Another one I forgot that I'm just now thinking of. I mean, he's kind of a criminal now, so it would be kind of weird to say it, but no one said Brett Favre.
Favre.
Yeah, Favre.
He's like a scam. He's like a pro scammer now. He's like he stole like millions of dollars from his state. But I mean,
that's who Kirk Cousins is learning from. But it's fun.
Oh, the dick pics. Yeah. No, you're right. He did just send it out there.
I've got
the Vikings.
No, he was drafted by the Falcons.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Then he signed with
Green Bay,
then
Vikings.
Yep.
I've got Michael the Burner Turner.
Michael Turner from the Chargers to the Falcons.
Backed up LT with the Chargers and then moved over to the Falcons. This is something I took me a little bit to wrap my head around. For his 5 years with Atlanta, he had 6,081 rushing yards and 60 touchdowns. Right, we can round it.
Gosh,
that is 1,200 yards a season and 12 touchdowns. That is a touchdown and 100 yards consistently.
Yes,
every 100-yard season or every 100-yard game, he had a touchdown consistently. For 12 games out of the season. It just absolutely unreal. I'm glad he got to go to a team where he actually got to shine instead of sitting behind LT, because we all know how great, LaDainian was.
Arguably the best.
Dude, Michael the Burner Turner.
Dude, it's crazy we do these podcasts and we're like, oh yeah, I totally forgot about that guy.
Yeah. Dude. Yeah. Well, I think that's why all three of us work so well together, is because we literally all come from different perspectives, different angles.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Absolutely. All right, boys. Colby, you want to get into some golf stuffs?
Oh man, I would love to do that. Let's see.
You sound like everybody that I live by up here.
Yeah. So, what do they say? Bag. I got it in the bag this time, brother.
Dude, I just got me a big bag.
Yeah. Okay. So, this is golf. This is what I do, guys. So the Players is going on. This is my favorite tournament of the entire year. This is Daddy's favorite. They have the whole 17.
Colby's trying so hard to name the next episode.
I'm about to say that's it right there. It's Daddy's favorite. Daddy's favorite.
We already got that figured out before pod. I forgot what it was. What was it?
I hope somebody had it written down.
I don't even know. But anyways, I guess it's gonna be Daddy's turn. So we're gonna go with Players, man. My favorite. It has the iconic 17th hole. It's the island. It's the par 3 with it's nothing but a big green and one little tiny bunker, and the rest is nothing but water. They actually had a hole-in-one in there today. It was pretty cool to watch. This is my favorite course, TPC Sawgrass. There's so many good players in this tournament. It's really hard to pick, and it's like you see Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Steph. It's just so many good players in here. This is going to be a feel, a little bit of metric here and there, but mostly it's just guys that I'm really feeling. Just like every podcast is what I feel is what I'm going with. So I didn't even send you the lineup. I'm sorry, Brandon. But anyways,
tell us about it.
We got Xander Schauffele. He's going for 10-5. He hit, what was it, 15 greens in regulations today. Green in regulations means that you hit the green and you have a birdie chance or an eagle chance. So you're usually hitting the green on your second shot or your third shot. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So that means that he's hitting the greens and he's not missing them.
Yep.
So he's going for 10-5. He's sitting in first right now at 7 under. When Schauffele is on, he's on. He's one of the higher end players of this tournament. He's up there with Scotty Scheffler. Scotty Scheffler actually won the previous tournament. It was the Arnold Palmer. He won it by 5 strokes. I'm sorry I'm getting off of Xander Schauffele, but I have to preface this. I wanted to put Scotty Scheffler in my lineup today because when Scotty is putting, no one can touch him on the planet. He is Tiger Woods-esque. Wow. And he changed from the certain style of putter to what's called a mallet style putter. It's a little heavier at the end. And he was putting so well. He beat everybody by 5 strokes. That's unheard of. He's just playing so well. And I wish I could
analyze what kind of putters people use.
I watch Golf Channel, so they kind of say stuff like that. But like sometimes that's what it takes is just changing something in your bag. And the putter's kind of what has been his downfall. Everything else is great. Drive, everything else is like, approach, his chip. Putting is what his downfall is. And I wanted to put him in there today, but he's going for 12.8, and that's just a little too expensive for me. That means you'd have to borrow from the 5K and the 6K, and I'm not strong on that aspect. So Xander Schauffele is going for 10-5. He is shooting very well. He's at 7 under right now, tied for first. His previous tournaments are 25th, 4th, 54th, 9th, and 3rd. So he's had a top 25 finish in the last 4 tournaments. He's doing really well. And I got Max Homa next. He's going for 8,900. I kind of have to go into the 8s and the 7s here because 10-5 is a little high. Max Homa is one of my favorite players right now. He's shooting very well. I think he's sitting at -4 right now. His positions previously in the tournaments are he got 8th, 16th, he got cut 66th and 13th. He is shooting well. He's one of the guys that whenever he sits at a certain spot, he's either going to stay there or he's going to get better. Max Homa is my guy. I think he's the funniest guy on the tour. And he's good at driving, good at approaches and everything. He's kind of like Scotty, and he's working on his putt, but he is very good and he's shooting very well. He's tied for 13th right now, 8,900. And forgot to preface, this is for the second day. So it's not for the whole tournament, it's for the second day. We at my third guy is Tom Hodge. He's going for 8K. This guy is shooting extremely well for he was a 6,500 guy, 6,700 guy, but how he's been playing, he's been bumped up to the 8K, and I am more than happy to spend 8K on Tom Hodge because of this. He has finished 12th, 28th, 8th, 17th, and 6th. This guy has had a top 28 finish in all 5 of those tournaments. It was at the Arnold Palmer, Cognizant, Genesis, Phoenix Open, Pebble Beach. Those are all barn burner tournaments. There's nothing but awesome players that play there, and he is placing in these tournaments with those awesome players. He's not really somebody that a lot of people know, but Tom Hodge is really making waves, and he's moving through the crowd, and he's getting up there with the big names. He's probably the ugliest guy I've ever seen, but he is but he is playing so damn good, and it's almost a steal at 8K. So I'm going with Tom Hodge at 8K. And then we got Adam Scott. He's at 7,600. This is a guy that if you give him probably 5 more tournaments, he's probably going to win one of them. He's playing very well. He got cut his last tournament, but before that, he finished 19th, 8th, 20th, and 7th. So he's been very consistent. Top 20 finishes in 5 of the last 4 tournaments he's played. He's a good drive. He's good at the approach, and he's also good at putting when he puts it all together. Adam Scott, I would almost make a bet that he's probably going to win a tournament here in the next 5 tournaments. He's just playing very well. He is sitting at 37th, which isn't bad. He's got room for improvement. I know he's going to improve. I'm willing to go with Adam Scott for 7,600. Then we got Doug Gim, Ghim. This guy's playing very well. His last tournaments are tied for 16th, 8th, 12th, and 13th. And in January, he got cut at the American Express. But that's another guy that has teens finishes. He's not gotten outside of the top 20, or he's 16th, 8th, 12th, 13th in the last 4. So this guy is super consistent. You're talking about a top 15 finish, and he's going for 7,400. Count me in. I'm going to buy this guy. I wish I could buy him all through that. I wish he could be in 5 of these lineups, but or position. But Doug Gim, 7,400. Let's go. And then we got Emiliano Grillo, however you want to call that. He's from Argentina. He's going for 7,300. He's the type of guy. He's on the back end. When you get towards the end of your lineups, you're gonna have to start trying to find guys. These guys aren't going to be barn burners. You got to try and find the flowers in the weeds. Grillo is one of those guys. He finished 14th at Pebble Beach. He kind of fell off a little bit. He went 22nd, 44th, 33. But at Arnold Palmer, he finished 8th at 4 under. He was shooting very well there. He's very good at approaches, and he's good around the green as far as chipping and putting. He's kind of those guys like Zalatoris. He was not doing very well for a while, and then all of a sudden he's just turning it on. He obviously finished 8th at Arnold Palmer, and that's one of the hardest tournaments of the year, along with the players that he's playing in now. I expect him to do very well in a loaded field. Give me Grillo all day long at 7,300. So I got Xander Schauffele at 10.5. You got Max Homa at 89. You got Tom Hodge at 8,000. You got Adam Scott at 7,600. Mark my words, he's going to win one here in the next 5 tournaments. You got Doug Gim at a 7,400. He's probably my value pick. Give me the brisket on that guy. And Emiliano Grillo at 7,300. That gives you $300 left to play. Okay. If you want to go in on your lower guys, and pick up, if you don't like Grillo or Gim, which I don't see how you don't like Gim, he's playing very well. If you wanted to pick a guy like, you don't want Vincent Norman. Remember Vincent Norman? Whenever he plays in loaded tournaments, he's sitting at +5 right now, so he's not doing very well. But you got who we got? McNeely going for 6,700. Well, I don't think you can get the guy, but anyways, you still have $300 to spend with that lineup if you want to make. I wouldn't change anything about this, but Grillo. That's the only person that I would play with. But other than that, I think that's a good lineup. I think that's going to win you half for sure on a 50-50. So let's run with those guys. All right.
Hell yeah.
Yep. Let's go. I think 10.5s might be the highest that we've had in a couple weeks.
Yeah, Schauffele, man, he has finished 25th, 4th, 9th, 3rd, and he had a 54th at Pebble Beach.
4th, 9th, 3rd though is
dangerous. He's always in the top 10 somewhere.
And Mayfield just got paid.
Yep.
Ever since we started talking about golf on this podcast, my social media has been filled with golf, and I'm now addicted to watching guys play golf.
It's
nice. Dudes that can drive it 400 yards, unbelievable.
Or put it within 5 feet from 220 yards. That's crazy to me.
And
consistently,
even get like compilations of the most creative golf shots in the PGA Tour, and there's dudes that will have their back to the hole and will bounce it off, and it goes like, I think Phil Mickelson did one of those and almost made it. You really have to play 24/7 to know exactly what you can and can't do.
Yep.
With and I've played basketball, I've played football, but I've never played baseball. I mean, not competitively. I've played in like softball leagues and stuff like that, but the fact that you have to use a stick or a club to hit the ball and you have that much control with it is unbelievable.
Like, do it on purpose. Yeah, that's the crazy part for me. I just want to hit it straight.
And they're just like, oh, I'm gonna bounce it off this side of the green so it rolls back behind me over the sand bunker. Unbelievable.
It's like we're playing golf or the driving range, and they're playing pool or billiards.
Exactly, it's like the same concept.
Like it's insane.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
it all being intentional is the worst part for me. Makes me sad.
So let's transition to some UFC. Had a good week last Saturday.
Yeah, you did.
That was fun. Kind of had this idea that I wanted to kind of document the bets that I was taking, because I give y'all a parlay or bets that I like before every single fight. But on that card, what I don't tell y'all and what I don't show y'all is that I bet on every single fight. In every single fight, there's always a bet that's worth taking, in my opinion. It might not be this guy winning and this guy losing, but it could be method of win. It could be the duration of the fight. There's so many within each fight. There's about 15 other bets that you can make that these sports shows don't really show you. And I had a good Saturday. I went 10 for 14 and cashed out some big underdogs. My Dustin Poirier win, my Felipe Lins win. It's all on the TikTok and the YouTube if you guys want to watch it. But it was a good day. Walked away with some money, cashed out. Wife is happy, not going to divorce me. But I'm going to try to do something similar this week. So this is a fight night card. I'm gonna be honest with you. We're gonna get through this pretty quick. There's nothing really substantial to look at here. It's Tai Tuivasa versus Marcin Tybura. Two heavyweights. Again, y'all know how I feel about heavyweights. This fight's gonna last about maybe a round and a half.
Heavyweights, hospitals. Let's go.
Heavyweights and hospitals. You know what? I think we might have just named.
I think that's the name. I think
that's the name of this episode. Heavyweights and hospitals. But Tai Tuivasa, a known finisher. These New Zealand dudes, they come in and they don't know wrestling, they don't know jiu-jitsu, they just know punch you in the face as hard as I can. And then Marcin Tybura is more of a well-rounded mixed martial artist. He knows how to wrestle, he knows how to kickbox, he knows how to do a bunch of different things. So if it stays on the feet, I think Tai Tuivasa has the advantage. If Tybura wants to implement some type of wrestling game, I think Tuivasa is in for a long night. But we'll get to that. I want to go over some bets that I like. Again, there's not a whole lot of talent on this card, especially if you're not a super avid fan. If you're a casual, you're not going to know a lot of these guys, but guys that are on the come up and kind of exciting: Brian Battle, Kennedy Nwachuku, OSP. Everyone knows OSP. You got Christian Rodriguez, Brian Bam Bam Barberena, Mike Davis. Other than that, Josh Kulabau. Other than that, it's just some people trying to make a name for themselves. So I want to give y'all 5 bets that I really, really like and see how that looks in a parlay. So starting from the bottom, I am going to go the 4th fight of the night. Josh Kulabau, Danny Silva. I'm going to take Josh Kulabau. He's at minus 180, so a relatively big favorite. I really like the boxing on this guy. Again, these New Zealand dudes, Australian dudes, they go kind of crazy. So I'm taking him over Danny Silva. And then moving up, the flyweights, Ode Osborne, Jafil Filio, give me Filio. I think just overall a better fighter than Osborne. He's sitting at minus 165. I'm taking that, and I think he wins by decision. Moving forward, so actually three of my parlay is actually back to back to back. Give me Nunez over Chelsea Chandler. Nunez, great boxing. Chelsea Chandler has yet to prove themselves. They're both dropping down from featherweight. So they used to weigh 145 pounds. This is 135 pounds. Nunez is sitting at minus 145. I'm taking that and adding it to the parlay.
Man, it always trips me out when I hear my own name. Not to me.
Yeah, there you go. Well, moving forward, this is an underdog I really like. Christian Rodriguez over Isaac Dolgarian. I'm taking Christian Rodriguez. He's plus 155. It's a pretty sizable underdog. I'm taking him and adding it to the parlay. This should be a really close fight. 145ers, fast. Both these dudes are quick as hell. I think it could go either way. I understand that there's probably more of a safer chance of going with Bulgarian. But what's the fun in being safe? Give me Christian Rodriguez by decision. So Christian Rodriguez sitting at plus 155. And then let's go to the main event, which is Tai Tuivasa, Marcin Tybura. I'm saying this fight goes under 2.5 rounds. That's at minus 225. So if you were to parlay those fights I just gave you, Culibao, Rodriguez, Nunez, Filio, and Marcin Tybura, Tuivasa, under 2.5 rounds. That's sitting at plus 1455. $50 wins you $727. But yeah, this is not something to really plan a Saturday around. Me, I'm watching it from start to finish regardless, but it's fun. Some fun stuff to put in the background. It's just coming off of the amazing pay-per-view that was Saturday. It's just something more on a smaller scale to watch, but it's always fun. Heavyweights and hospitals, right?
Heavyweights and hospitals, man. And I really like when you do the fight duration bets rather than it's all fun and games whenever you're like, oh yeah, he's gonna knock him out in whatever round, right? But I mean, these are realistic bets that you're coming with and like analyzed as far as each individual fighter and how long that length normally is. I mean, like you said, you hit 10 out of 14 last week, man. So y'all catch up and listen up.
A couple of bets I took last week or last Saturday was the duration fights. And even depending on where you do your betting at, if you use like DraftKings Sportsbook or whatever, but in the betting app or betting, website I use, they have like combination bets where you can say this guy is going to win and the fight's going to last over or under this many rounds. So it's kind of like 2-in-1. So there's a lot of like interesting bets. Like, my O'Malley pick for Saturday, I said O'Malley's going to win and round 2 is going to start. And the odds were better than just O'Malley winning outright because he could definitely win first round knockout and then you lose that bet. So it makes your odds a little better. I try not to get too much above minus 200 because then you're risking a lot of money and not winning, and then you're making 50% of your money back. But
what you got, Colby?
Yeah.
What? Oh no, I was just gonna say, I had no idea you could bet like that before. I talked to you, Brandon, but that was like a like a 2-leg parlay for one fight.
Yeah.
So your odds go up. I had no idea. It reminded me of like baseball whenever you can bet on Yuri Perez going over 8Ks for however long, and then
there's also some double chance methods where you pick a guy to win, but he can win either by knockout or decision. So if he wins by submission, you lose. But it kind of shrinks your odds a little bit. Like if a dude is minus 350, like obviously it's a lot of money to bet on one single bet. But if you're taking that guy to win by a certain method, that minus 350 drops to minus 150. So you really just make sure you study up and know how this guy can get finishes. But yeah, this fight this weekend, last weekend was amazing. It was definitely a good time. When you pick, there's not a better feeling than picking a big underdog and you're so convinced and then it happens. And that's what I was telling y'all last podcast. I said Dustin Poirier so it was minus 175 on the podcast. He dropped even more to minus 185 when that fight was starting. And I'm saying there's no way he loses. There's absolutely no way. He dusted homie.
Yep.
Dustin
dusted him.
The way you put it, I mean, like Dustin's a dog, bro. Like how are you fucking forgetting that?
Been there. And I mean, everybody likes the shiny new toy. And it's that way in sports. It's that way in football. Everybody loves the shiny new the shiny new toy, but experience, been there before, goes a long way. And that was a lot of fun. Walked away with some cash, and it was fun. So I'm gonna try to do the same.
Yeah, that makes it even more fun.
Yeah, no, I was drinking these. This might be a sponsor. I don't know who makes this drink, but I got some Sunny D vodka seltzers, and they're the best thing I've ever tasted in my life. Not sweet,
it tastes just like Sunny D.
Not super alcohol-y taste, and you can see when that fight started, when the pay-per-view started, I was very clear-eyed. Then when it got to that Dustin Poirier pick, I was like, all right, so I'm gonna take Dustin Poirier, and yeah, so I don't even know what bets I was taking.
Drinks sound like trouble.
No, too much vitamin C.
Delicious, but now we came out on top. You guys want to get into some player perspectives?
I'd love to.
That's my favorite. This is my favorite part. Go,
I-
go, 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 go. No.
Goes real quick, real quick, real quick. Okay. All right, anybody want to go
I'd
first?
like to go last
You want
because
to? Okay, okay, cool.
mine feeds into outfielders for us today.
Got it.
I'll go first.
Let's start with Koji's. All right. Boom.
Da-na-na,
Get this
da-na-na.
out of here. Boom.
Damn, you love your pitchers,
first,
man.
go over it first. Tell me who you would
All
rather
right.
have.
So I realized that for this player perspective, we should probably like kind of speak through the stats a little more for the listener.
Mhm.
So
Good
we
call.
have 2 MLB pitchers. Okay.
Last year's
Gentlemen.
stats.
Starting pitchers.
Yep. Starting pitchers, last year's stats. Both of them similar in innings pitched. Guy on the left, 161 in 2/3. And then guy on the right, 163.1 innings pitched. Both are winning pitchers, 11 and 10 on the left, 14 and 12 on the right. Guy on the left has a 4.51 ERA. Guy on the right has a 3.64. And then guy on the left basically has all the little metrics, more strikeouts, higher K percentage at 197 strikeouts, 29.3 K percentage, 5.1% walk rate. So he does not walk a whole lot. Guy on the right, 183 strikeouts, 25.6 K percentage, walks more at 11.6%. So my initial thought is dude on the left got some stuff. Dude on the left got some stuff. Dude on the right might be more of a ground ball, fly ball pitcher.
Yeah, I think it's important to note the WAR. Guy on the left 1.2, guy on the right 3.1. Over double wins above replacement.
And for the fans and all the hundreds and millions of viewers, what does that mean?
Millions.
Chandler.
Oh, well, we explained it last podcast, but it's basically like I mean, these are 2 comparable individuals. So if these guys start the same game, so to speak, or if rather they start 10 games apiece, the guy on the right has well, let me find a better way to say this. The guy on the right has a 3-win average above the guy, or a 3 times win average above the guy on the left with the WAR of 3.1 versus 1.2. It's wins over replacement. So it's taking this individual starting pitcher and comparing it to any other comparable starting pitcher and putting them in the same position.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Who would you rather have?
I would rather have the efficiency of right.
Yeah, I'm taking right.
On left, if he can tune up some things, he could be an absolute savage.
Yeah.
So 197 strikeouts is a lot, right?
Very true.
This is hard, man. You're having us go through at least 150 players and figure out who this is.
So let me think of some strikeout dudes on the left.
197 over 161. That is high.
That's a lot, dude.
That's
pitching it.
Yeah, that's like a Glassnose stat, but a 4.51 is not it.
That's not Glass now. Can we? Okay.
I don't know if I can. I'm trying to think of some.
I'm gonna start throwing out some names. Oh shoot! Give me Dylan Cease.
No, that was one guy I was thinking about though.
That's close.
I was thinking of the 4.51 and the high strikeouts. I was thinking of Dylan Cease. Okay.
Dylan Cease had like 208 strikeouts or 214 strikeouts. Yep.
Okay, lower than Dylan Cease. Okay, this is good. This is good.
This is good.
This is fine. Can I get Mitch Keller?
No.
Okay. More strikeouts than that, right?
Yeah, he had over 200.
Yeah. Okay. Back it up. Okay.
29 games.
Anything for the right? Y'all got any ideas for the right?
No, because it's that walk percentage that throws me off, man. Almost 12% walks.
Yep.
The fact that left can strike out so much and walk so little is impressive.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Zach Eflin.
No.
Damn it. I'm trying to think of like what pitchers do Colby like?
I think Eflin was 16 and 8 or 12 and 8, something like that. Yeah.
Man.
Let me just put it this way. The guy on the left is notably younger than the guy on the right. The guy on the right has been around for a long time.
All right, give me Justin Verlander on the right.
No.
Wait, I know who left is.
Who's left?
Joe Ryan.
Nice. That's it. Joe Ryan.
Chandler just looked it up.
I don't
I saw him
know
on his
who
computer.
right
He looked
is.
it up.
I don't know who Wright is.
How did you figure Joe Ryan?
I've been stuck on the innings pitched to strikeout ratio.
Yeah.
And the dude is either like on or slightly off. And when he's off, he doesn't pitch a lot of innings. When he's on, he goes deep and continues to strike individuals out.
Yes.
Give me Sonny Gray on the right.
No.
Oh, yeah. That's sneaky.
Yeah. I'm out.
Yeah, I don't know who Wright is, man. That
who
walk
we
is
got on
really
right?
throwing me off.
Dude, the right is Charlie Morton.
Yep.
Hey.
And Joe Ryan is going for $12. Charlie Morton is going for $2.
Okay.
I had Charlie Morton on my my Serpentine draft last year.
Okay.
And I had another one, and it was going to be Freddie Peralta. Obviously Freddie Peralta strikes out way more, but he had a better Peralta had a worse WAR. I think Peralta had like a 3.7 ERA, and Charlie had 3.64. It'd have been a little bit bigger gap for left, but yeah, Charlie Morton's going for $2, guys.
Do you guys want to know how honest I am at this game, or how stupid I am? When Colby sent this and the top wasn't blurred out enough, I actually saw Charlie Morton and I forgot it. And
I'm glad you did.
And completely forgot that I knew it and did it as honest as I could.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
I can't believe he's going for that cheap.
2 less innings, 14 less strikeouts. No, I agree with you on the cheap factor, but you know my stance on Charlie Morton, man. He's a second half after All-Star player.
Yep.
All right.
And he's on the Atlanta Braves, so he's going to get your wins too.
Yeah,
so.
buddy.
I guess I probably should have gone first because I
have
football, so it's like baseball, football, and back to baseball.
We should probably strategically plan this out. Like your football would have been great after we discussed free agents before we got into golf and UFC.
Yeah, it's just player perspective is player perspective.
Yeah.
All right.
Change your perspective.
Right. We have NFL running backs.
Oh.
From obviously
12, 17.
last year.
Somebody's healthy.
Punt return? What? They're returning punts here?
Right is Alvin Kamara.
3. No.
Damn it.
Right is Aaron Jones.
Nope.
No, he doesn't return.
So for the listeners out there, we have 17 games on the left, and then we only have 12 games on the right. On the left, we have 280 carries for 1,167 yards, 12 touchdowns. On the right, we have 228 carries for 1,144 yards and 12 touchdowns as well. Guy on the right has a 5-yard per carry average. Guy on the left, 4.2. Guy on the right catches 32 balls for 206 yards and 3 touchdowns. Guy on the left caught 28 balls, 214 yards for no touchdowns. And then
wait, I got it. I know the answer. I know the answer to both. Left is Derrick Henry.
That is correct.
Right is Joe Mixon.
No.
Damn it.
Left is Derrick Henry. That is correct. On the right, can I give you some clues?
No, I don't.
He was not going into the season the guy, but ended up being the guy.
So it's Devin.
No.
Damn it. It's not Gus.
It's not Gus.
Gus Bus.
Gus.
What?
Bus.
5.0 yards per carry.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. That's very good, actually. Like,
yep.
Pacheco.
No. This guy is in the NFC.
He was not.
This guy is in the
Kenneth Walker.
No.
Wait, is it Jahmyr Gibbs then?
It is not Jahmyr Gibbs.
DeAndre Swift.
It's not DeAndre Swift. I love the guesses though.
He was intended to be a starter. Who was not intended to be a starter?
And just ended up taking the job, running from it, and then became one of the better, most productive fantasy players at the running back position.
Brian Robinson.
No, sir. We ready?
Yeah, send it, dude.
On the right is Kyren Williams.
Dude, of course.
The
with the
LA Rams.
That is just as how forgotten as he is.
Was a steal.
Yeah, he was a steal. He was the #1 free agency pickup in fantasy this year.
So my wife plays fantasy football, and her offense consisted of Lamar Jackson, CeeDee Lamb, Bijan Robinson, and Kyren Williams, and Sam Laporta. She came in second.
That's rough.
Yeah. Bijan had to have screwed her, man.
Some weeks. Yeah. But yes, this is Derrick Henry on the left. Kyron Williams on the right. If Kyron Williams played
5 less
17
games.
games, if he would have played 17 games,
It would be so
holy
lopsided.
shit.
So lopsided.
That was a fun one.
What the?
All right, let's get to Chan Mans.
Let's go.
This is intentionally lopsided. Right. This is
For
our
value sake or what?
This is our last pod where we're giving you guys top 5 rankings of individual positional players for fantasy baseball. So this one is don't forget about your budget picks. Obviously, we'd all rather have left. And I'll give you values. Left is worth $19. Right is worth $2. But I want y'all to really look at the stats and how close they are.
Yeah, they're all close.
Jeez.
0.003 on the batting average.
Yeah. And by the way, I know last week I said Manny Machado had a lot of solo home runs. This guy here, almost 40% of his RBI production was himself. Almost 50%. My apologies.
I know for a fact it's not Kyle Schwarber.
It's got to be Pete Alonso.
It's not him either.
It's Outfielders, right?
This is Outfielders, correct.
So 38 homers. Is Juan Soto on the left?
No.
Okay.
38 homers.
But only 80 RBIs, guys. So that means shitty team.
To 20 steals. The 20 stolen bases is what's getting me.
38 home runs?
Yep.
That's like quite a bit, no?
That's a lot.
Is it? It's not Luis Robert, is it?
It is Luis Robert.
Yeah, I was thinking that guy.
I didn't know Luis Robert hit 38 home runs. I really
Yeah, and he was hurt too. Came back.
Insane.
Like I was thinking, I know he had 20 stolen bases, which made me guess him, but I was like 38 seems like a lot.
So Luis Robert on the left, we've got a 5.0 WAR, even games at 145, basically even plate appearances at 595, even hits at 144, but 38 home runs, 80 RBIs, 20 stolen bases for $19 going this upcoming year. Who's on the right for $2?
There's a lot of outfielders. You got to give us a little bit of a hint.
Well, this is a hint specifically for you two. He was on my team last year.
Oh my gosh. So that's Gurriel.
Yeah, spot on.
Damn it.
There's not, I don't think there's a team, because me and Chandler talk trades all the time. There's not a team I knew more than Chandler's team.
So the right is Luis Roberts Jr.
Left is Luis Roberts Jr.
Okay.
Right is Lourdes Gurriel
Lourdes Gurriel from the D-backs.
Yep.
D-backs.
So 2 more RBIs because the D-backs are a better team than the White Sox. But I'm calling Lourdes Gurriel a budget Luis Robert Jr. Okay. $19 compared to $2.
Noted.
Those stats were too close for me to pass up for a $17
You know what's funny
difference.
is I got Luis Robert Jr. on a trade for Estrui Ruiz.
You did. That was a steal, by the way.
Wait, you did?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Dude, you need to go to jail, my guy.
I know. Yeah. I don't know. He needs to go to jail.
We're talking about the Oakland Estrui Ruiz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For Luis Robert.
Well, Ruiz had like a spot in like the middle of the season where he was.
But let's talk about it.
Yeah.
He also freshly came off an injury whenever that trade happened, and so I think that guy was looking to offload. I don't know, because we don't play a rotisserie league to where steals matter that much.
It's just points.
Yep.
And he just panned out for sure.
Colby's a thief in the night, my God.
Finessing people, man.
Hey, when you can get it, you got to get it.
That's all I'm saying. All right, so how we end every single podcast, we talk about, this is our sad. Are we sad? A little sad?
I'm a little sad, to be honest.
A little sad.
But I'm also super excited to move forward because now week after next, because next week is the draft. Week after next is all about maintenance and free agency and waiver wire and who's doing what and how we can upgrade.
Absolutely. And just kind of see.
I'm stoked for that.
And the players that we put in our top 5 or our honorable mentions, how are they doing as the season goes? You know, are we dumb or are we smart?
Yeah.
But yes, guys. So every week we break down a baseball position from a fantasy perspective. This is our last breakdown. Next week we're going to be doing a fantasy draft, and that'll be fun. A fantasy mock draft, I should say, but we are doing outfielders, and this will close kind of our top 5 for every position and our honorable mentions. We're gonna do it like always. I think I'll kick it off because Chandler goes last. You know how it goes. Again, my top 5 is the best top 5, and the reason why it is because there's no rhyme or reason. I'm not legitimately ranking anybody above anybody. These are just dudes that I am looking for as far as a fantasy owner. Are there players that are going to play better than them? Absolutely. I just don't feel like talking about them. So this is my top 5, and then I got 3 honorable mentions. My number 1, I'm very vocal at whom, and also I left Acuna off my list. I know me and Colby are doing that. Yes. I thought that was a good idea. I'm leaving Acuna off the list. So where's Ronald Acuna? Not on my list. So my number 1 outfielder, this is a guy who is probably my favorite baseball player in the league, and that's Kyle Tucker. He's my number 1. He is always the player when I'm playing him or I am looking at other fantasy teams. I see how he's killing it, and he's not on my team, and it makes me sad every single year. So I love Kyle Tucker. Number 2, I'm going Juan Soto. Okay. Here's why. Aaron Judge is scaring the shit out of me with his injuries already.
It's a sad big toe.
It's his big toe that caused him to miss a lot of time last year. It's that with a abdominal, and it's driving me crazy. I think Soto is going to be more healthy than Judge, therefore putting up more numbers. So give me Soto at 2. I'm going Fernando Tatis Jr. at 3. Okay. This guy on a full season, no more suspensions, healthy, playing a full season. I think with his stolen bases, his bat, with Soto gone from the Padres, they need someone to be electric. And I think with that squad, we don't need to talk more about the Padres because Chandler kind of really explained it well.
Drove it home
last podcast. So yeah, that's my 3. Just in the sake of talking about this, because he's on my team, I didn't want to leave him off. I'll put Aaron Judge at 4, but he's scaring the shit out of me right now. It seems to be hurt all over the place all of a sudden. I kept him in our fantasy league. Please don't let me down, Aaron. Please. And then number 5, I got Adolis Garcia for the Rangers. I think this dude's going to get better and better and better. Last year, he was a pivotal piece in the Rangers winning the World Series. With the Rangers having a very questionable starting rotation, I think the bats are going to become even that much more important. And with that, Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, you got Evan Carter now, Josh Young. Adolis Garcia is going to be right in the middle of that, shaking things up. I love it. Give me Adolis Garcia at 5. And then my honorable mentions, I got Lane Thomas for Washington, was on my team last year. Consistent as it gets, 20 plus homer guy, steals bases. I think that's going to decrease. I don't think he's going to steal as many bags as he did last year, but just a value pick if you're doing salary, or a guy that you can get in later rounds in Serpentine. A guy that I talk about way too much that nobody knows who I'm talking about. Give me Kerry Carpenter for the Tigers.
Love it.
That's my boy, man.
Love it.
He has been hurt for a lot of spring training. He's just now starting to get some at bats, so kind of late to the party when it comes to that. But he is one of probably the most consistent bat in that Tigers lineup. And if Vegas has the Tigers winning close to 90 games this year, Carpenter is going to be a big reason for that. So I love him. And then my last honorable mention, Tyler O'Neill.
I love that.
He's playing super well for Boston. And we had this conversation off air when we were doing our research, that the Cardinals, any person that leaves them turns out to be a stud. So Tyler O'Neill coming from the Cardinals, going to Boston, where, again, kind of similar to the Tatis, where, because some pieces are gone, they need some bats, they need some electricity in that lineup. If Tyler O'Neill can stay healthy, and if he can get back to stealing bases like he does and gets in the 20s when it comes to that regard, I think he could be a big piece of the Boston offense. So that is my list.
Tyler O'Neill's not on my list, but everybody keep their freaking fingers crossed that guy can stay healthy, because oh my goodness, what he's capable of is absolutely insane. and he's absolutely freaking yoked. Like the dude just all he has to do is bump the ball over the field, high enough to get over Fenway's Park and left over there. But good God, he's got so much potential.
Before last season, I would watch like MLB Network, and a lot of people had him as like the best. I don't forget which spot of the outfield he was playing. I think it was right field maybe, but like they're like he's the best in that position. And I think he had some beef with the Cardinals coach. I think that's well documented. I think the coach went on record and say that, O'Neill doesn't try enough or doesn't work hard, and then caused a rift there. And I think him in a new situation.
Cardinals have way too many outfielders. And so it's good that they offloaded him. It's great that he went to Boston.
Oh, well, I guess another guy, I don't have him written down, but I'm going to say him right now. A guy that I always consider taking when I'm in the later rounds. I think Jordan Walker is going to have a big year for the Cardinals. But anywho, what you got, Colby?
All right. I left Acuna off because I just think he's overrated.
Oh God!
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I think that's worse than I think that's worse than me saying Juan Soto's a curse.
No, Colby, you might not believe that, but it's gonna be everywhere. So wear that with pride, my brother.
I left him off because he's undisputed the best baseball player on the planet right now. Not really a whole lot can touch him. He's just so damn good.
Oh my gosh!
What?
We got some breaking news. It's football related, so just keep going. But we'll get to it.
All right. Acuna's off the list. Number one, I got Kyle Tucker. He went 284 on average, 29 home runs, 112 RBIs, 894 fantasy points. The dude is a producing beast. He can do everything. He's really good. The only thing I don't like is his swing, but it works for him. We got Juan Soto. I hate putting him there because I just don't like him, but he's a beast too. 275 average, 35 home runs. 35 home runs, 109 RBIs, 790 fantasy points, I believe. I don't like him at all, but he is undoubtedly one of the best outfielders out there. Number three, I got Corbin Carroll. 285 average, 25 home runs, 76 RBIs. He had 54 stolen bases, so he can do it all. 817 fantasy points. I don't think anybody expected him to do that. Oh, he was a rookie last year, right? Yes, he was a rookie. And
official rookie, yeah.
Yeah, official rookie. And no one expected him to do that. I think he's going to get better as time goes on. I see him getting a little bit more pop, and I see more RBIs in his future. These next two basically are based off of what they could do, especially at 4, Yordan Alvarez. He's batting 290 average, 31 home runs, 97 RBIs, 651 fantasy points. He only batted 410 times. I think that's a stat that we need to keep in our heads, because if that guy has, 600 at bats, 590 at bats, if the sky is the limit. I think he's got the best swing in in baseball.
Don't worry, Colby. I got you here in like 10 minutes.
raw power, and I just don't think there's a swing out there that can match his, aside from Aaron Judge. And that's who's at my number 5, Aaron Judge. 267 average, 37 home runs, 75 RBIs, only 367 at bats. 37 home runs and 367 at bats. That's crazy to me. Give him a full season. He's going to break another record along with Yordan. You can kind of put Yordan and him in the same conversation. If they get up to 600 at bats, 590 at bats, they're probably up there, at 2. And 1, I mean, Kyle Tucker and Juan Soto, they'd be up there with those guys. So yeah, you got Kyle Tucker, Juan Soto, Corbin Carroll, Yordan Alvarez, and Aaron Judge is my top 5. And there's so many outfielders that can produce for you. I just had a list, and just keep in mind these guys
to choose from.
There's so many out there. Like, you got Fernando Tatis, you got Julio Rodriguez. These guys could easily be in the top 5. Julio did strike out a lot last year, 175 Ks. Kyle Schwarber, 215 Ks, but he went 47 home runs. What the hell are you doing over here, Schwarber?
Just shut up.
But anyway,
$22.
Yeah, $22.
Not $22.
Yeah, man, it's like, what the heck. Anyways, so you got my guys that I'm watching out for is Steven Kwan, Luis Robert Jr., Anthony Santander, Cody Bellinger, Mike Trout's still out there. Don't forget about that guy. Adolis Garcia and Christian Yelich. Those are the guys that I'm looking out for.
I love Santander because he's going for $7 right now.
Yeah,
huge. Like
he's been cheap for a while too.
He has been cheap for a while, and he surprised everybody last year. And the fact that he's still going for 7 this year is absolutely disrespectful.
Yep,
bonkers.
But
all right,
I like.
Where's my soundboard? Where's my soundboard? Everybody, listen.
So I did this list as the rest of us did, off of where they're actually playing, not where they're eligible for. So you're not going to get Mookie Betts in this list. However, I did include Ronald Acuna because I have a sneaking suspicion, right?
Oh.
There is absolute number one, first of all, top 5 outfielders, MLB fantasy baseball. Number one, undoubtedly, undisputably, completely unanimous, Ronald Acuna. Best player, agreed with Colby. Best player in baseball, hands down, right? However, I think that there is absolutely no chance that he repeats last season. 1,207 points is bonkers. That nobody can predict that, nobody can expect it, and don't expect it to repeat, right? However, do expect 40 plus home runs and 50 plus stolen bases, because that's definitely doable for him. In that same breath is the fact that he just recently got injured again in spring training, right? There's already speculation out there that he may have a certain level of workload management. So don't be surprised if he doesn't reach 600 at-bats this year. Just don't let that blow your mind. But still number one, undoubtedly. Number 2, Kyle Tucker, right? He's moving back in the lineup a little bit to the cleanup spot. So look for that RBI production to uptick. Also look out for look out for a 30 home run and a 30 stolen base season. I think he was 1 shy of stolen bases last year to make that happen. He could definitely reach 600 at bats. And if he does, it's closer to 950 points for him instead of what he's projected for. Last year, he had less than 100 strikeouts, and his average was creeping up to 300. So look for more of the same with him. Less strikeouts, closer average. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the running for a batting title here in the next couple years. The dude is just a stud. Number 3, Corbin Carroll, Arizona Diamondbacks. I expect more of the same, but a little bit more, right? My take not too long ago with the Arizona Diamondbacks was that they had a great year last year, but they were lacking a little bit of confidence. And that went from their pitching staff to their batting lineup, to their fielding and their errors. They got rid of Eugenio Suarez, all that good stuff. So look for them to improve just all around as a team. So he's an easy repeat of that 25 home runs, 50 stolen bases. And again, he's going to compete with 2 individuals that is on everybody's list for everything, Acuna and Betts, for most runs scored in the MLB. It's going to be Carroll. If not 3, he'll be right there in the mix of 1 or 2, right? Number 4 on my list, Juan Soto. Hard to discount him. I'm not the biggest fan of him either, but I'm seeing 40 plus home runs strictly because of the ballpark. It favors left-handed hitters much more than it favors right-handed hitters. He always leads the league in walks. And because of this, if Judge is healthy, let's see what he's projected for, just 97. Nope, that's incorrect. He's projected for 111 runs this season. Don't be surprised if he goes off for over 115, 120 runs if Judge is healthy, hitting behind him. New York has a very potent lineup, especially with the addition of Verdugo, and nobody gets on base like Juan Soto does. I'm gonna come at y'all with some math here for a second. Okay,
let's do it.
I'm wearing Space City. It's Jordan on the back. I've got my Houston Astros Independence Day hat on. We're throwing 2 Houston Astros on this top 5 list, but there's a giant asterisk. There's a giant if to make this happen. It's Jordan Alvarez. Okay. Colby touched on it. He only had 410 at-bats last year. However, if he's healthy, if the new manager plays him like we hope that he does, if he's not relegated to the DH spot and actually gets some left field, decent left field time. All right. The difference between last year and what I'm projecting at 550 at-bats is 140 at-bats. If you break that down between 3 to 4 appearances a game, right, and multiply that by his 5.8 average that he had last season, right, we're adding an additional 238 points to this guy's total. Previously, it was 656. With that addition, it puts him at 894. I think he'll crest that 900 mark this year. I really, really do. And I honestly think that he might crest it so hard that it puts him on number 2 of my list and outpaces Kyle Tucker's 950. It's super possible. The dude just has to stay healthy. He is easily the best hitter in the entire MLB. Nobody swings a bat like him. He doesn't strike out often. He walks a ton, but at the same time, he's a little, I don't want to call it impatient, but he can hit everything. So you can't necessarily throw out of the strike zone to this guy to get him to chase. He'll actually tap it over the left field wall. Honorable mention, Aaron Judge. If Juan Soto was not on the New York Yankees, Aaron Judge would be number 4. But because on what Juan Soto is, I've got to drop Aaron Judge to 6, and it all depends on his health, right? If this guy stays healthy, yes, he's the best home run hitter in the league. He's the most feared home run hitter in the league. You can't do anything but try to pitch around this guy, especially with anybody on base. We'll see what the injury report has to say on a week-to-week basis, right? Y'all know I like to do an outside the top 10. In this instance, it's outside the top 40 because we took left field, right field, center field, and put them all together, right? So 40, patient 0 for today is Teoscar Hernandez with the LA Dodgers. Great trade, great acquisition from them. I think it's fantastic. But my number 1 guy to look out for is Jarren Duran with the Boston Red Sox, right? He had 34 doubles over 332 at-bats last year. That's almost a double per 10 at-bats. And I guess I should backtrack a little bit because it's really important with Jordan's information, right? In fantasy, there's a big difference between at-bats and plate appearances, right? A plate appearance is anytime that individual steps up to the plate. So it could be 2 outs and a run on first, and they get caught stealing, and the 3rd out is at second base. That counts as a plate appearance for the batter. When they come up an inning later, that counts as a plate appearance for the batter. That's 2 plate appearances, not a necessarily accurate metric for how well they're going to do in fantasy. Now, on that second plate appearance, if they hit a single, that counts as an at-bat. Okay? Very important distinction. So with Jarren Duran, the fact that he hit 34 doubles over 332 at-bats means literally 10% of his hits last year were doubles. That's an insane stat, right? He almost hit 300. He's working very diligently in the offseason to improve his contact and improve his eye so he gets more walks and more singles rather than striking out. And he could be a huge spark in this otherwise lacking Red Sox lineup. Number 2 to keep an eye out for outside the top 40, Chas McCormick. He's finally an everyday player. He is the Houston Astros everyday center fielder. Absolutely fantastic. I think it's difficult to get a groove whenever you're not an everyday player, but he had glimpses of greatness. Well, let me tone it back a little bit. Glimpses of goodness last year. He wasn't a standout individual, but would you put him up against other center fielders in the league from a defensive and offensive, a WAR perspective? Absolutely, right? So look for him to put together a 20 home run, 20 stolen base season and possibly crack 500 points. My last guy to keep an eye on outside the top 40, Brian De La Cruz with the Miami Marlins. Also an everyday player. He's batting in the middle of it is lackluster, but you have Luis Ariz, who is basically guaranteed to get on base every single at bat. He had glimpses, and I will use this word confidently, glimpses of elite power and contact last year. There were some times in the middle of the season where this guy would just touch the ball with his bat and it was going exactly where he needed it to go for that situation. He's going to be a huge, vital portion of the success of this Miami Marlins offense. He just has to actually produce, but don't lose sight of this guy, of Brian De La Cruz. Y'all know I like to come in with a hot flop in the top 10 and then a gem outside the top 40 in this instance. I have no flop for anybody today for the top 10.
Damn it.
I know. It's typically a hot take.
That's where I get my content from.
I know. But we've got 3 different positions, left, center, right. It's too much to find one individual that I thought would really perform mediocrely and not meet their expectations. But I've got 2 gems for you today. All right. And it's not necessarily off of a salary cap basis. It's based on a draft perspective, right? Don't look to get these guys in the early round. You might be able, if you are salary cap, you might be able to draft them for a low dollar in an early round, but don't gamble that. There's no reason. Just be patient. Grab these guys when they come about because they're going for $3 and $2 respectively. First one going for $3, Lane Thomas. And I know Brandon already hit it. He had 636 points last year, 628 at-bats. He is the guy in Washington. He is the staple. He is the most consistent individual in that lineup. And he could easily be, he fell just barely short last year, but he could easily be a 30 home run and a 20 stolen base guy. All the tools are there. All the opportunity is there. He just has to pull the trigger and make it happen. Second guy, second gem outside the top 40 in outfield this season, fantasy baseball. TJ, and I'm going to say his last name wrong. It's either Friedel or Friedel, right? Cincinnati center fielder, left-handed hitter that hits at the front of the lineup against right-handed pitchers and like 6, 7, 8 against front of the lineup against right-handed pitchers, 6, 7, 8 against left-handed pitchers because it's his non-dominant side, right? Going for $2. He had 628 points last year and 488 at-bats. That is almost 100. Well, that is 140 at-bats less than Lane Thomas, who I just spoke about, right? And as Thomas can be the 30 home run, 20 steals guy, TJ Friedel can be the 20 home run, 30 steals guy. They're not polar opposites. They're complements to each other in this regard. And just like that player perspective we went over earlier today in this pod, they're not necessarily budget picks like Lourdes Gurriel is to Luis Robert Jr., but don't be upset if you're missing key individual outfield players in the later rounds and you're running out of money, because these guys, you can get both of them for $5. It's absolutely unreal. And just don't lose sight of them, right? Don't throw them out there early in order to get some bait and have somebody pay $5 for them, because they're well worth that $5. I would even put these guys maybe upwards of $8, $9 for these outfield positions just because they're everyday players, right? If you can sneak them into later rounds for a low draft price or just basically free, and then carry on your day, and you're going to have an outstanding duo in your offense. But that's all for me in the outfield today.
Holy shit, that was good.
Da-na-na, da-na-na.
I know we're talking about baseball, but you guys want some breaking news?
Oh, let's go. Breaking news.
Keenan Allen was just traded to the Bears.
Hey! Okay. So the Bears are legitimately what I had the idea of the Patriots to do is load up on the offensive skill position of the ball. The Bears are doing that and prepping for that quarterback to come in. So yeah. I'm going to be absolutely, I mean, unless you absolutely believe in Justin Fields and be like, all he was missing was some weapons. You know, that's it. Just some weapons.
Keenan Allen, huh?
Keenan Allen traded to the Bears for a 4th round pick. And apparently the trade comes because Keenan Allen declined to take a pay cut.
So they he's been fantastic.
Also,
so Eckler's gone and him. Jeez.
The Chiefs are signing Hollywood Brown, Marquise Brown.
Ooh,
to the Chiefs.
They let go of Scantling though, right?
I believe they cut him to save some cash, I believe. Yeah.
Woohoo.
1 year, $11 million deal for Hollywood Brown. So
that's expensive.
Those are the two things that have happened since we started podcasting tonight.
That's an expensive Hollywood.
Right. And also for those of you who were worried, Garrett Cole avoids Tommy John. Tommy John. He didn't tear his UCL, but he's expected to miss 1 to 2 months.
Which will be 6.
Which 6, yeah.
Right, it really will be, because he'll come back, he'll start a game, he'll have shoulder, elbow discomfort, and that's the thing about pitchers, right? Whenever one thing goes out, the rest of your body tries to compensate for it, and then that goes out. It's just not a good dynamic.
Yeah. Oh man, sucks to keep that guy.
I'm still thinking about the Chicago Bears. Like, you got either Justin Fields or Caleb Williams at quarterback, DeAndre Swift at running back, DJ Moore at receiver, Keenan Allen at receiver, Cole Kmet at tight end, and then you got pieces defensively. Holy!
I will tell you, Brandon,
something's cooking.
Today is the first day that I saw a similar take to your take on the Chicago Bears. I saw somebody, NFL analytic guy, say something. He probably
saw my shit. He
probably saw White 80. Shout out us. Yeah. But yeah, he was saying draft Caleb Williams, basically give him the redshirt freshman's, treatment. Let him sit behind Fields, who isn't a bad QB, and then trade Fields after this year and let Caleb start in 2025. Like, that's
I mean, it happens all the time, man.
Yep.
We got so married to the trade him or pass or trade him and pass on Caleb, or take Caleb and like they're like married to those two options. You draft Caleb or you trade Justin. It's like there's more options. But anyway, those are some things that kind of popped off. Keelan Allen's a Bear, Hollywood Brown, Marquise Brown's a Chief, and Garrett Cole avoided Tommy John.
Wow.
Does anyone really avoid Tommy John though?
Nope. You just prolong it, delay it.
All right, boys.
What's the saying? Prolong the inevitable.
Right?
Yep.
I feel like the body's just not meant to throw a ball that far and that hard.
Not
that many
often.
times. Many times.
Yep.
Body's not meant to do that.
Yep.
It's
everything's good in moderation, right? That's what we learned for like literally everything in life. Like everything's fine in moderation.
Except gambling. That's good all the time, right?
Yeah, it's good all the time.
Yeah, even when you're losing.
Actually, we need to edit that because we can't.
Gamble responsibly.
Gamble responsibly, please.
Hey, the video of me betting on every UFC fight, I was at the end, I was like, gamble responsibly.
Yeah,
good night.
Nice.
Because I'm not. But
that was a good one, boys. I enjoyed that.
Good. Anybody have any remaining thoughts, any words of wisdom? Chandler, you got some words of wisdom before we sign off?
No, man, just like at the end of every podcast, I gotta piss real bad. Like
Colby, any words of wisdom?
No.
Okay.
Fantastic.
I like it.
Cut
All
recording.
right. We are the Wide 80 podcast, and we'll catch you next Thursday.
Thanks for listening.